One of the oddball Thanksgiving traditions that I have seen before is frozen turkey bowling.
So that is intended use.
Yes, there you go. That's where I was going with that. It's like, well, it's not necessarily for your
Right.
meal.
Right.
Hey, folks, this is I'm jumping in here before we get started on our show. This is Andy Shiles and Lalo's on Solorzano on the Simply Trade podcast. You need to probably go to our YouTube channel for this show because we're going to do a lot of visuals. Hey, folks, happy Thanksgiving. We are looking at having a really cool show today, and this is something that we are going to have a little fun. I guess break from our normal discussion about everybody's sick and tired about all the policies and the stress and everything else. We're going to have a little bit of fun today. Lalo, you've put together a pretty cool show here. So I think you're wanting to open up with something, which on the screen, if you're watching this is really cool. It's a Norman Rockwell painting there of a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, I just thought everybody's Thanksgiving looks exactly like this, so I just thought I better put it up. Just kidding, but look at that big bird and everything. So we reached out to a couple of friends from the show who we've known ever since they got started. We saw them on their very first conference in Orlando a couple of years ago, 2 to 3 years, almost 3 years ago. And then they have, so we're talking about our friends over at QuickCode, Shannon and Joe, who are the founders of that company. I threw them this little challenge. I said, hey, so what if we classify Thanksgiving? Not necessarily the dinner or the meal or anything, but just Thanksgiving in general. And y'all will know why we said just Thanksgiving in general here in a little bit, only because we're going to have a lot of fun with this, like you said, Andy. So let's bring in Joe and Shannon just because for the sake of time, instead of dragging this on too long. But Joe, Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thanks, you. Lalo. Yep. Thanks, Lalo, for having us.
Been a while for y'all.
It has. I would like to say that we're so grateful to the two of you. That first conference that we went to in Orlando in 2023, we didn't know a single person. And you guys were so kind and really so welcoming. And I think that really made us feel confident that, okay, we belong here. We're at the right place. So thank you.
Definitely. Both of y'all were really great. That was such a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having us.
No problem. Yeah. So we like talking to people like you all that are new and the new kids in the block and everything. And our sandbox is for everybody to come and play on. So thank you. So
even if we disagree with something, it's like, let's talk it out. Well, how do we want to start this? We're talking about Thanksgiving and the different things going on there. It's obviously it's a big sports weekend. It's or day. I know in the college football ranks, there's lots of games, but one of them is a traditional rivalry they call the Egg Bowl, which is between Mississippi State and Ole Miss or University of Mississippi. And that's a big one that people will watch. And then there's, NFL games, I think. Usually the Cowboys always wind up playing on Thanksgiving, but others do too. I don't know. But so football's a big deal.
Thanksgiving traditions. And Lalo said what we're going to do is we're going to walk through Thanksgiving. Maybe some food, maybe some other things.
Okay, well, let's start. What do we want to start with? Because I know I'm going to start my morning running my butt off on this goofy little tradition that we have.
So I'm going to share my screen, Lalo, or do you already see my screen?
Go ahead.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, what you're looking at here is QuickCode, a QuickCode product database. And I've filled it with some fun Thanksgiving things. We're not starting from scratch on all of these for a variety of reasons. Number one, it would just take a little while. It wouldn't necessarily make that fun of a show. And number two, there's a lot of actually interesting things to walk through. Lalo just talked about the fact that he is going to start his day with a little traditional turkey trot. So I thought it would be fun to classify from start to finish some sneakers. I've already done it here, but I'm going to start again just to walk you through the process. And I'm going to say classify new product, and I'm going to say the same thing. Nike Air Max running shoes. Now, and we're going to say they're from China. Most Nike Air Max running shoes actually come from China. Fun fact. Some are made in other places, but this is all for fun anyway, so we're making it up. But we could make it up. I'm just saying we could make it up, but this is actually the case. So QuickCode uses AI in the background to help someone classify. So I'm going to walk through this quickly. If we've done our job right, which we have here, the first option that is sent along to the user is the correct option. We provide transparent AI. So we tell you that there are cross rulings on athletic shoes. There's schedule text for footwear on athletic shoes, and there's WCO notes. You can always open that up and find them. It's interesting. There's some rulings on specifically athletic shoes from China. But, when it comes to shoes, the devil is in the detail, and it has to do with what are the shoes made of? These particular shoes, I happen to know, as does QuickCode, that they have outer soles of rubber, plastic, or leather composition. So I'm going to click that again. But again, if you weren't sure, you might have to look that up somewhere. You certainly can find that usually on your product detail sheet. Footwear with outer soles of rubber or plastic, we're going to just select. I'm going to go down this list because this is something that QuickCode is really good at doing and does quickly. But running shoes are not the most interesting thing until you get into the tariffs. So sports footwear, training shoes, I'm going to hit other because that's what they are. We're going to say they're valued at over $12 a pair. You can see when classification comes up, then we don't say, is it women, men, or other? We'll say women. Why? People ask us all the time. You could classify this, and these are not ski boots. They are other. So I'm going to set that. So now we have a 10-digit classification pretty quickly. Our goal is to get you to that classification in under a minute. Again, tennis shoes, not a complicated thing to classify. And people often ask us, why don't you classify to 10 digits? Lalo, Andy, do you know the reason why we don't classify to 10 digits?
No.
Okay.
You got me.
CBP has said that for a customs business, which is 10-digit classification, a human has to do it. So this is a classic human in the loop AI, where we could make the decision, all those decisions for you for the most part. Probably get more complicated because we didn't specify if they were for men or women, if they were men or women. But if we had the SKU or we had the model number, we might be able to do that automatically. But customs has said no. And they have recently reaffirmed that about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. So for now, 10-digit classification remains human business. FYI. So we get to 10 digits. That's great. And certainly not that long ago, that would have been almost all you needed in terms of something like shoes. But now, as everyone knows, it's much, much, much more complicated than that. So QuickCode says, okay, let me help you with all the other compliance data that you need. So we have down here a compliance check, and that includes what's the rate of duty. So the general rate of duty for these sneakers is 20%. You can do a view here. This is the general rate of duty column that you see in the schedule all the time. If anyone who's familiar with the schedule, if there were a special program here, it would show up. For China, there isn't. That's why it's not highlighted. But if I open it up, you can see there are some special programs, but not for China. Otherwise, it would show up here. So
Shannon,
yeah.
That 20% is what has always been in place, no matter what, regardless pre-Trump, additional tariffs and everything. That's what you're saying. That's column one, right? What they call column one.
That's right. That's from any country.
Yes.
Just the general duty on footwear.
Okay.
Yep. And so what's happened here is we're just saying, okay, that's where you're starting from. You're starting at the general rate of duty, right? Oh, but look at this. Now we have additional tariffs that we have to be concerned with, and it needs review. So let's look at those. And because this product is from China, QuickCode has said, okay, here are the tariffs that you need to be concerned with for this specific product of Nike Air Max running shoes. And so we start with the 301s. Those are the oldest ones, and those are the ones you're most familiar with. And it says to you that articles of China as enumerated in U.S. Note 20R. This description comes straight off of ACE. So this is an article of China as enumerated in 20R, and we have a link to actually Note 20S. I'm guessing 20S probably came after 20R. Joe, I'm guessing.
That's correct. They haven't updated the description in ACE.
Yeah, they haven't updated in ACE, and we get it straight from ACE. And it's 7.5%. But there are other 301 values. And so you might wonder, well, is this really the right one? This is the one that QuickCode sent to me, but is it the right one? If you doubt it, you can link to this note. And when you open that up, and I'm not going to do that. It's a wall of text. We go straight to the note and we show you straight where this particular code, which is 64041190, I think, shows up. So really helpful for that trade services person or that importer or manufacturer working in an organization to figure out, okay, is this the right tariff? Does this tariff apply to me? It turns out it does. So I'm going to just go ahead and select it. And then, I have to look at the IEPA tariff. That's the fentanyl tariff. And it says, here we go. China, Hong Kong, IEPA executive order, 10% duty. And it says, again, except for these products, articles of China and Hong Kong as provided in note to you. Same thing. If I link to that, I would see this code on there. And that's why QuickCode is serving it up, and it's 10%. There are exemptions, and those are hidden. Those are sourced underneath there. And are placed underneath there. That's 21, 22, 23. And those are the exemptions that you probably are familiar with related to donations, printed materials, personal effects, etc. There is no exemption for a sneaker that's being imported. So, we will do that. We select that as well. One more, the reciprocal tariff. Same thing. So China has a reciprocal tariff now of 10%. Recently, products of any country except product described in those, this comes from ACE, 9903, 0126, etc. That's the standard 10%. And that applies to the product of China. So that's why QuickCode is selecting that. So now what happens is I've done all of my tariff selection. If there were anti-dumping or PGA involvement, I would look at that here. But I want to know, my shoes, how much are they actually going to cost me? So I open my tariff calculator, and let's just say I'm bringing in 30 pairs at $50 a pair, so for $1,500. And you can see that those shoes, which started out at essentially $50 a piece, because that's the aggregate value of everything I'm bringing in, their tariff is 47% for $712. So that is what I'm looking at here, is a general tariff of $300, the 301s, the IEPA, and the reciprocal. And so my total tariff is 47.5% on those shoes. So I think it's a really good example of how sourcing from different places might make a difference. If you purchase these shoes from another country, you would certainly avoid some of these very onerous tariffs, the 301s and the IEPA, the 10% IEPA, and you might only have to pay the reciprocal. So that's kind of the first example. We've done our Turkey Trot now, and we're moving on from the Turkey Trot, and we're going to have our touch football game. I'm not going to classify this, but I wanted to say that American football classifies into, let me see, I think I took 9506. This is sourced in Pakistan. And you can see, it's not the same as a pair of shoes, but you can see that the rate of duty is significantly less there coming from Pakistan. So it's 19%. And that's for your touch football game. And so that's an opportunity, but it turns out that footballs are not made in that many places. But with QuickCode, you could take that opportunity to say, okay, it's 19% if it came from Pakistan. I'm going to open it up. What if it came from, I don't know where, let's say Mexico, for instance. Oh, Mexico's not a good one because of USMCA. I'm not going to say Mexico. Let's say it came from Germany. We'll do a USMCA one in a second. If we say it came from Germany, it's free, the rate of duty. Let's look at the additional tariff coming from Germany. And in fact, the additional tariff coming from Germany, I happen to know, is this 15% EU tariff. So that's what I would say. So the tariff is less. So then this is a situation where an organization might say, well, it costs me more to buy that football if it came from Germany versus if it came from Pakistan. So I have to weigh the 15% versus the 19% and so on, etc. it's a great way. QuickCode is a great way for people who are in procurement to figure out what is this really going to cost me. So let's say we've had now our Turkey Trot and we've played football, and now we're going to start cooking. And I know macaroni and cheese is a controversial food.
Why is that? Why is it controversial?
Because let me tell you, some people are like, there's such hard stop on mac and cheese that they didn't have that at the first Thanksgiving, and I'm not.
I was going to say, Andy, how many pilgrims were making macaroni at that time? How many Native Americans were making macaroni?
Yeah, it is.
I get that, but I got to say, down in the South, macaroni and cheese is like a big. It's served quite.
And it's right there in the Yankee Doodle Dandy song, right? I mean, it's
right, macaroni, right?
Yeah, well,
yeah, exactly.
So I will say two of my kids are making macaroni and cheese, and I'm just going to classify this pasta. I happen to know what it classifies to. And again, not overly interesting. Two of my kids are making macaroni and cheese because they believe that it is absolutely critical to have it on evenings. So there you go. Classifying macaroni from Italy, because if you've followed the news, that is a place where we've had some pretty significant anti-dumping cases added. So I just wanted to show how that can also really hit your Thanksgiving Day table. So for the sake of argument, I'm just going to say not subject to any of these other EU things. This would be a regulatory item. And I know Andy has said no policy, no regulation. We're just having fun here. So I'm just going to skip on that, and I'm going to say it's none of that. So here we are. We have our Italian pasta. We're about
Hey, I'm guilty of opening up a can of worms quicker than two shakes of a dog's leg. So,
so again, we go through the process. I'm going to open up and say rate of duty is general. It's free there. I'm going to look at the additional tariffs. This came from Italy. There's just a one reciprocal tariff, and it's 15%. So I'm going to close that. And that is the IEEPA tariff for the EU, 15%. But what happened? Well, I closed that up accidentally. But look at this. Anti-dumping? Really? Do I associate anti-dumping with pasta? That's interesting. It turns out, in fact, there is a case related to, at least one case related to pasta and anti-dumping, very recent case. And it turns out it's pretty significant. So the U.S. has ruled against has ruled anti-dumping percentages on quite a few producers. And QuickCode gives you all of that. So QuickCode here, let me close that up for a second. QuickCode gives you this entire scope of the order. So you can read this and say, does this really apply to me? And it covers all kinds, the details of what the pasta would be. We won't go through that, but we're just going to assume that this pasta that we purchased qualifies as part of this anti-dumping, is covered under this anti-dumping order. Again, we provide the links to everything there, the full scope, so you can read it here. Our customers love this part of QuickCode because inevitably, when someone's worried about an anti-dumping product, and again, who would think pasta is anti-dumping, on an anti-dumping list, they usually have to go somewhere else to figure it out. So we provide all the details here. And one of the things we find out is there are 7 HTS codes covered. One of them is the code that we just selected, and their range is from 0 to 19% across 61 cases. We can open those up, and we can see the cases are based upon the manufacturer. So there's an Italy countrywide rate. So if you're not one of these other manufacturers, which we won't go through, we'll assume, oh wait, Barilla. I think I said Barilla. And there it is. Oh, looks like Barilla is a big offender there.
My goodness.
Barilla is what we selected, right? So it's 19%. So we have to add that. So
There it is.
There it is. Barilla. Ta-da. So that is the anti-dumping case. Then there's also a countervailing case. I'm just going to say doesn't apply. I'm there. So now I've assigned my anti-dumping percentage, which is 15%. It's kind of hefty, right? I mean, it's 19%. We already have a 15% EU tariff. So now my tariff is pushing up to 34%. Luckily, the general rate of duty is free. PGAs, we provide the opportunity to review the PGAs. The no surprise, we'll say it's organic, and we'll say it's food. No surprise there. Food coming in has to go through that. You can see look at this. My effective rate of duty is 34% on my macaroni. Macaroni isn't overly expensive, but you can see it creeps up there. The price gets up there. So
yeah, I saw a news article that lots of Italian suppliers are pulling out of the U.S. market next year. Like, we might have a pasta shortage next year because of these tariffs, because they can't afford it.
interesting.
So they literally do come from Italy. I don't know why I thought they were sourced here, made here in the U.S. and pasta, right? Who would have thought?
Yeah, they come from Italy. And if you look at the box, you'll see I did look at the box actually, but I have a box downstairs because, as I mentioned,
as it turns out, Lalo, the reason it comes from Italy is because it's cheaper to bring it from Italy, which is why they got slapped with an anti-dumping tariff.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm going to be checking boxes.
Exactly. So I know we don't want to walk through classifying all of these things. I want to point out some other kind of interesting things that I think are important for our Thanksgiving dinner. Cinnamon, of course, is a big component of Thanksgiving. It shows up in pumpkin pie. It shows up in mashed sweet potatoes. It shows up in a lot of items. Shows up in mulled wine. Turns out that cinnamon, I looked at my cinnamon, and all of my spices say packed in the United States, and they have no country of origin listed on them, which I think is interesting. And it turns out the law does not require that you label it the country of origin, but everybody knows you have to have that for in order
Importing.
for importing. So we won't classify this. There's nothing interesting other than to say that I did a little sleuthing. I went to McCormick's website, and I found out that their cinnamon is sourced in a few places, but Indonesia is their biggest source. So
I was going to say is that cinnamon's common from South Asia usually.
Well, there you go. And that was it. So, and it doesn't, if you classify cinnamon, whether it's stick, raw, ground, pretty much classifies into the same, I want to say at least to the same 6 or 8 digits. So it's not as if there's a transformation or they're doing something. It's just that you don't have to label the country of origin on the product itself, which I thought was interesting. Pineapple from Brazil. So we classified this. This is canned pineapple tidbits. What about pineapple? Well, in our family, my mom made something called a 24-hour salad. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. It's marshmallows, it's lemon curd, it's whipped cream, it's pineapple, it's cherries. It's horrible for you, but it tastes so good. So good.
It's horrible for you, but it is so good. Right?
I'm making it today because it's 24-hour salad. So, it has to sit in the fridge 24 hours. But I looked at the can, and it turns out that the can that I had came from Brazil. So these are Dole pineapple tidbits in my pantry, and they were sourced from Brazil. And so we classified this. It classifies into canned pineapple. No surprise there. It looks like the rate of duty. I don't know what the rate of duty was. I didn't look at it. Oh, it's covered by a special program from Brazil. So it has a free trade agreement. So that's great. But remember, it's from Brazil, and we have these IEEPA tariffs from Brazil, right? So, but it turns out that there is a new agricultural exemption, you might remember, for Brazil. So, the IEEPA tariff, which would normally be, I don't remember how much.
40%.
Oh, 40%.
40%
Wouldn't it 15%?
Would not apply to this because it's even though it's canned and smashed into tidbits, it still qualifies as an agricultural goods. It shows up on this list. Go ahead, sorry.
This just went into effect last week, and this is the administration's attempt to lower the grocery bill by putting these foods onto the exemption list.
Right. So this particular canned pineapple shows up in this list. I'm gonna go there just to show your viewers that in fact we link straight to the note that is in the in the schedule, the HTS US schedule, and we go straight to that note. And so I can search for that. It's 2008, whatever it was.
Yeah. So without a tool like QuickCode, users have to go to the ITC website, get this in a PDF, and search these things by hand. It's onerous.
It really takes a long time
to figure out what is subject to these tariffs and what is not.
So QuickCode helps you two ways here. Number one, it just serves you up. This is on the list. Trust us, it's 0. And then, so that was what was offered. I selected it already, but that's what was offered. And then if you are a doubter or if you want more detail, you can actually go to the note directly. So it's helpful. Again, what is QuickCode's goal? To make that trade compliance expert or trade compliance person inside an organization faster, right? They can scale faster. And once you do this, you set it and forget it. Really, QuickCode then manages all that for you. Okay, so you've made all of your goodies. You've made your 24-hour salad. Lalo is like, what about the ranch water? What about that ranch water? I gotta relax at the end of my cooking day before everybody gets here. At the moment, at least I do. I know that. So, we do something at QuickCode that is, I'm going to show you what this means. I have this field. You can't see this title, but it's called, this is called BOM family. So bill of materials family. I'm going to group by BOM family. And most of these things aren't on a bill. They are, the bill of material is actually the product itself, right? It's the same. But for ranch water, we might have a bill of material that's something like this. We have tequila, we have mineral water, and we have limes, right? So if everything was put together, we might have divided those up. I just wanted to show kind of that feature that we hear a lot of people saying, okay, well, I have this bill of material and I want to link everything together. I want to link my Chevy Impala into one place, and I want all the parts for the Chevy Impala under there. So this is how we help our customers manage that. But we can still classify and we can still, so I'm just going to classify one of these things. They all pretty much have the same treatment. We're going to assume all of them have a country of origin of Mexico because I looked them up ahead of time and it turns out all of them do. I'm going to classify this Topo Chico mineral water really quickly. QuickCode knows that it's this, and I'm just going to do this again. I'm going to do it fast. Waters, and it goes pretty quickly. Mineral water.
Easy to do it fast and QuickCode because the first answer is the right answer almost all the time.
Almost all the time. But again, I already knew that, so I didn't need to take the time to look at it. But what's the rate of duty? Well, it turns out that this is eligible for a special program under USMCA. So the general rate of duty is this. We don't ever automatically assign a free trade agreement, special trade, preferential trade qualification for the same reason. That's customs business. But here you can see it qualifies for USMCA. And when it qualifies for MCA, and there's other, that takes its general rate of duty to 0. And then what I can do is say, okay, now I need to look at the additional tariffs. And we know that there are additional tariffs for Mexico and Canada. The government, those were some of the early ones that the president did. But in fact, this is the Mexico IEPA duty. But there are exemptions, and one of those exemptions is treatment under USMCA. So if this qualifies for USMCA, it gets a 0. So I will select that. And then the same thing applies to, let's see, that was the IEPA, and then the reciprocal. So there's an exemption. Oh, there's the exclusion.
It was the exemption right at the top there.
Right, it was at the top. So, ta-da! Now I know that my ranch water, at least my Topo Chico mineral water, it qualifies for preferential treatment, and as thus it's 0%. So that's the good news. In the same thing, if it had any, it probably does have. Let me open that up again. Probably has PGAs. It doesn't have any anti-dumping, but of course it has PGAs, and I could use the calculator again. So I go through that whole process. It helps me figure out, does this qualify? If it does qualify, what are the other tariffs that might apply? QuickCode shows you all those tariffs, etc. If I had attached any rulings, I think I might have talked about that. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to see if Joe wants to add anything. I'm going to see if you guys have any questions on how we might finish up I don't know if Lalo has any special things that he might want to try, or Andy, that are unique to their Thanksgivings.
The obvious, I was going to say elephant in the room, but let's call it the turkey in the room. We didn't put turkey because those are all domestic.
So a huge percentage, I want to say approaching 100% of turkeys served are domestically. But I mean, we could always try and classify one. And maybe
right.
Well, I was just going to say is that in looking at it, I was going to say one of the oddball Thanksgiving traditions that I have seen before is frozen turkey bowling. So,
Oh, so that is intended use.
yes, there you go.
I think
That's where I was going with that. It's like, well, it's not necessarily for your meal.
Right,
It would.
right.
I think you
I don't know
might
what's
be
gonna happen.
inviting trouble if you attempt.
I'm
if you
inviting trouble.
classify.
Joe does not like this, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it's from Canada, because it turns out that if you don't get a turkey from the U.S., you probably got it from Canada. Frozen turkey for bowling. Guys, I don't know what's going to happen.
I have
honestly.
no idea what's about to happen here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see.
Your system, you're testing your system. They're like, have you been drinking something? What
but
is
if you
this?
actually intended to enter a frozen turkey as a bowling ball, I'm guessing you might be inviting trouble from.
Yeah, it didn't. So where
it's not biting. QuickCode is not biting. It's not going to let you do it.
What is interesting here, though, is frozen turkey would normally fall into chapter 2, right?
Yeah.
That's where it would mostly fall into, a whole frozen turkey. For bowling, confused it, because it's like, surely you don't mean the game bowling. So maybe that's some other preparation that we don't know about, like frozen turkey for soup or frozen turkey for something else.
Right.
Well, I think that's what's happening. As Joe said, inviting trouble. I love it, though. And let me just say, if you really believed it was for bowling and you wanted to classify it into Chapter 95, I say go for it and see what CBP says. Maybe there's a lower tariff for that. Give it a shot.
Have you lost your mind?
Well, I'd like to show you that QuickCode made some suggestions. Okay, I don't know what you got going on here, people, but do you mean a frozen turkey carcass for food preparation? Or do you mean bowling-themed frozen turkey novelty item? I just don't understand. It's trying to figure out what do you mean? Novelty sports equipment. Yes, that's what we mean. Novelty sports equipment.
That's you're right.
Maybe if we add that. Let's see if we add novelty sports equipment, because that's what it would be if it says 95. Let's see.
There it goes.
There it goes.
Toys, games, and sports. There we go.
There you go. That's it. So, yeah.
Chapter 95. Got it.
Chapter 95. I love it. All right. Anybody else? Lalo, anything fun?
No, I was gonna say only in El Paso stuff, right? I mean, ranch water is one of them, I guess. Not necessarily only in El Paso. Lots of people do drink ranch water. Yeah, but then there is only in El Paso, which. So I gotta say this, and my niece is gonna flip when I say this, because she swears that we always have tamales in Thanksgiving. We don't, fun fact, but she says we do. She's been out of the city for so long that now she thinks we have tamales every time she comes to El Paso.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
And
I will tell you.
Hey, I got to tell you, seriously, that's one of the things I was going to say, is that in and around El Paso, tamales are a big deal. I remember when living down there and all.
I make them on Christmas. I do my assembly line with my family. My son is engaged to Anglo, let's say. She's a non-Hispanic, and we had her making tamales last year, and by the time we were done, she was like a wizard. Man, she can make tamales.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome. I will tell you, I'm from, my family is from San Antonio, and I have lived in El Paso a couple of times.
Right.
In my family, we eat tamales every Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we do not make them. We get them from our local restaurant here.
Okay. Well, not they're reaching close to $20 a dozen. So I mean, I can help you read. I can lower that tariff.
If they're made in Mexico fully, that fully qualifies for USMCA if they're sourced and made in Mexico.
Yeah.
Let's just see what a tamale. We'll call pork tamale. Why not?
Yeah, pork tamale.
Yeah, as you're doing that, I got to say, tamales are a big family deal where every family has their own recipe.
Yeah.
And there's a tremendous amount of pride put into tamales. And
Well, there you go.
I've always been so impressed with it. And I've had, actually, when I was in Memphis, I've had 2 different ladies that they fixed tamales, and oh my gosh, they would be so good. But it was just like, tamales are a big deal. That it's
So I think tamale is a tricky one because it is probably not obvious where it falls. QuickCode says it's in Chapter 99 because there are cross rulings on tamales. So let's open it up and see. The tariff classification of empanadas, the tariff classification of chocolate. So the
The tamale at
tamales.
the top. The
Oh,
very first one.
tariff classification of tamale from Honduras. So 1909.
Read the ruling. Read the ruling.
Sorry, my bad. Let's read the ruling. Let's see. From Honduras. Tamales prepared by combining water, onions, spices into a puree, green peppers,
1901.
spicy. Yeah,
Right.
so that looks right. So this is interesting. This is a ruling from, I don't know, where's the date on this, Joe? I don't see it. Oh, it's up high. 1997, so kind of older ruling, but still a valid ruling, except you see this scratch out here? That means that code is no longer valid. So sometime between 1997 and today, 1901, 90, 90, 95 was done away with, and there's a new one. But you can still, you can
1901
And then
90 is still valid. Yeah.
And then I see on there most tamales here in the region here, at least in Texas and like closer to Mexico, they will kill you if you make them in wrapped in a banana leaf, plantain leaf.
Plantain leaves. Yeah.
This one says mixture in a plantain leaf. So ours are in a corn husk.
I was going to say, aren't they in like corn husk or
They
corn?
They are, but they do make them in plantain leaves. I do want to be fair. Other countries like Honduras, they do make them in plantain leaves, but mostly in Mexico, maybe way south Mexico, like Chiapas, because it's tropical and rainforesty. Maybe they make them in plantain leaves, but it's mostly in corn husks.
Right. So there's relevant. There's more tamale classifications.
The same ones. Yeah.
Same ones. So there you go. So that's the story. There's always often a ruling to help you out, and there was in this case, which is really beneficial. So,
that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Because like I said, tamales are probably tricky. They could be all kinds of. They could be food preparations, right? They could be special kinds of mixtures. Could be all kinds of things. So, okay. Anything else, guys? Any other interesting things?
I think I will say that it's been quite some time since I've, obviously seen your system there going through this. I will say this is fantastic for planning purposes. It's like if somebody's looking at a product and they're wanting to, all right, well, what if we change sources or whatever? You could very quickly in a meeting literally go in and say, well, let's look to see what we've got. And it's got all the relevant information there for you.
Right.
So I would say that this is, you guys, I'm proud of y'all, man. This thing is really,
this has evolved
really well.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
Yeah.
And,
thank you, guys.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's, I can remember when you were open and you were open to suggestions and here's what we're thinking and whatever. And people gave you a lot of feedback and you have definitely applied, their feedback, I guess. And your system is filling a need. So I see that. I mean, I know there's other systems and things out there, folks. I just will tell you this QuickCode is worth looking at. So.
Thank you. We definitely every feature you see is the result of someone saying, wouldn't it be nice if QuickCode could do something, whatever that is. Almost, I think every feature is a result of that. So,
well, and the other thing too that is what this does is enable you to actually see the impact of the different tariff discussions and things going on. And I have to come back to say, like for example, we were talking about China and whatnot. China has had they've doubled down. Remember, you had the problem with intellectual property rights being violated and China would just, would talk a game or whatever, but never really enforce that. You had the forced labor situation. They've doubled down and continued to do that. You don't hear as much in the media as much anymore, but they're still using forced labor in China. And then, their market, they're the second largest economy in the world, is not open to not just the U.S., anybody, quite frankly. I mean, they claim it's open, but it's not truly open. And so, you have those things. And so this going back and forth, you see all of these additional tariff situations and how it adds up. And yet, if you change countries, you could very quickly see, well, is this better? And then the other decision is, should you source domestically? But it's a way to see application of or impact of policy right here on the systems. So.
Just to your forced labor, we had so many users ask us about forced labor and about denied party screening. We've just introduced, and it's locked here, so I can't actually link on it. But we just added that feature just for that reason. It includes forced labor checks. So it checks the entity list, checks 200 plus lists. It's we are partnering with a company called Byte Data. You may have heard of them.
Yes.
They are experts in that denied party screening space. So we're very happy to have them. And that was directly as a result of so many customers of ours said, we need this feature. It's really hard to do this. So
can you all,
well, I got to say, this is outstanding. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, can you all gray out USMCA on there so that when we release ours, you can also link to ours? No, I'm kidding.
I was like, what do you mean?
I was telling Joe that we're working on a USMCA AI product.
Oh, I love that for you. No, that's great. I'll tell you, you guys might remember when we started, hardly anyone was using AI for these kinds of processes for a variety of reasons. It was new. People were not trustful. CBP was a skeptic as well. And now, still are. But now everyone is, right? So the conversation a few years ago was, only a human can do this job. And now the conversation is, what kind of AI do you have? Right. So it's funny the way it's just flipped in just really 2 years. I would say really just about 2 years.
Well, and the thing that I think folks have gotten over the shock of, I'm going to lose my job because it's going to automatically do it, to where this really does enhance the people, and it makes them so much more productive in their role. And, AI can definitely get you into the right area. I will say that it still requires human intervention to say, well, for my product, does this really apply or not? And for that judgment, you only know your product. So how are you as a company? What's the latest here with y'all? Are you selling the software, or is it a subscription base? I can't remember exactly how you're doing your services.
So a funny thing kind of happened to us in that when we saw you, we were brand new in the market. We thought we are going to target sort of these small and medium-sized organizations who maybe our price point is good and maybe they need to scale. We thought, customs brokers, we're going to help them do twice as many classifications with the same number of brokers, right? That's kind of how we thought about it. But the truth is, as the product has evolved, as the geopolitical situation has evolved, that includes forced labor. It also includes, of course, all of the tariffs and the retaliatory tariffs and all the things that have gone back and forth. The people who are coming to us are large, very large enterprises. They are working off of spreadsheets. They don't have access to a product database that's really focused on compliance data. So it's been a terrific, I would say, journey for us, especially the past year. But before that, even that's what we sell to. And who do we sell mostly to? Our biggest customers by dollars certainly are importers and manufacturers. We still love our trade services customers, and they use us mostly for scaling. Like I said, they're just using us to try and do more with the same number of people, whereas our importers and manufacturers are using us to keep their data compliant. So keep their database compliant, whether that is. So for instance, when this China tariff changed from 20 to 10%, this particular China tariff, whatever it is, I'm going to open this up.
The fentanyl IEEPA tariff 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago went down to 10%.
Yeah, it went down 10%, right? All we did was we changed it. When the change came out, we changed it. And then every single one of our customers got a note that said it used to be 20 and now it's 10. And this is the notification. So really helpful, and also saves a lot of manual work, right? Comes from an authoritative source, and it saves a huge amount of manual work, because you can imagine if you have 100,000 or 600,000 or 1 million products, you can't be going through, and almost as soon as you would get that data updated, it would be out of date, because as you know, we are on revision 30 of the HTS US schedule.
Well, and here's the thing is that you utilizing a service like yours, it gives a company, whether it's a consultant, a broker, a large importer, small importer, whatever, one source to go to that can get you the majority of the information you're needing regarding your product. And then from there, it's what I call bird dogging. It's also going to be where, okay, maybe you don't have a full answer, but you're going to you're closer to getting to the right source. So, some of these references and all that. And then when it ultimately comes down to is like, well, you may know now what specific agency, whether it's customs or another agency to go to ask a specific question, and you'll be informed now on what question you need to ask rather than where
So
am
I
I
use this
going.
example here of cinnamon. I just wanted to go to cinnamon because I hadn't classified that. If you just have cinnamon on your list on your commercial invoice, and you don't say what kind, and that happens, that's not enough information to classify that, right? It gets you close, but you need to know, is it ground or is it a stick? Straight up, right? So that's your point. That's where, number one, you need a human. Number two, the commercial invoice just isn't often enough. Often it's not enough. Now, if you had more details, if you had the SKU or you had a more detailed description, you would. But in that particular case, it's just not enough to get you what you need.
But Shannon, you also said earlier, I mean, the regs say you cannot go to 10 digits without a human.
No.
And I think you might have skipped this also or not mentioned it, but not only does it have to be a human, but if you're not classifying for yourself and you're classifying for somebody else, it has to be a broker.
That's right.
Yeah. Yep.
And they have to be in the United States.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yeah. All those things are true, Lalo. That is the case. Yeah.
Just fun fact, in case anybody decides to kind of outsource it to, there's a lot of great virtual assistants that you can hire that are amazing. And I have nothing against that, because that is a very effective way of working, like maybe in the Philippines or Colombia or, like in other places that are amazing. They will make you 200, 300, 400% productive, in other areas, but don't use them for classification because that's not that they cannot do that.
Right. And there's an active ruling against that. That is 2 years old. That's absolutely right. So, yep. So
awesome.
Well,
thank you.
I will say that this has been very enlightening. It's folks, definitely this is one that you'd want to see on the video portion of it. But this has been enlightening because it's again true real-time application of the policies going on. Yeah. And we'll see what happens here with the objective of all these different tariffs. So,
well, thank you guys so much for having us. It was really fun, actually, kind of talking through some of these that are everyday things, right? And how they actually impact not just Thanksgiving, but the other 363 days a year as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great to catch up with you guys again, and we really appreciate the opportunity to come on your show. Really it's been a lot of fun.
Same here. Y'all have a good Thanksgiving and enjoy your families, and we'll catch up again at, I'm sure, sometime soon because we always run into each other at conferences. So.
At conferences, yeah. All right.
Great.
Thanks,
all right,
Dad.
for our listeners, hey, happy Thanksgiving. We God bless you for your families and those that are in the military and around the world that are having to work and maybe in harm's way. Hope blessings for them and for protection. And forever, all of our listeners, thank you for supporting us. So with that, I guess we need to say goodbye and have a great day.